What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Comics Grind. I'm one of your hosts, Nico Rodriguez.
And I'm Ken, aka Comic Ken on YouTube.
And welcome to another weekly episode. Ken, how's it going, man? I see you got a sweet setup there.
Oh yeah, I've had these lights for a while now, but I just decided to turn them on this episode to make it look cooler.
Yeah, it looks like you're in like some kind of spaceship or something now.
Yeah, yeah, I'm just like a regular YouTuber now. I just need a mic. That's all I need.
It's coming, right?
Yep, coming in.
Awesome, man. So, what you been up to this week, man? Comics wise, you've been making some comics. You've been thinking about comics. One of the two, both.
Well, I've been trying to get my teeth fixed. That's one of it. And then I've just been embroiled in thought for most of the week. I'm trying to figure out like how I can approach Air Rider and make it um, exciting to read, like make it exciting for people to enjoy. But then also like how can I draw it in a way that I'm actually practicing and studying my favorite artists at the same time. Like I want to figure out um, how I can incorporate all the style characteristics I want to put in my work while also producing on a consistent basis. But yeah, that's really just what I've been trying to figure out this week.
Yeah, no, I mean sometimes you need those weeks where like you kind of like think about the planning of everything, you know? I mean,
Yeah,
because I think for me too, like that's I've been steadily progressing on the book and everything this week, but I've kind of been doing like kind of like the ad hoc stuff that's outside of the actual making the books. Like one of the big things I've been doing this week is putting in orders for for the first chapter comic of
okay.
West Not South. So it's been kind of interesting because I've been trying to like forecast what I need for the con season.
Right.
Um, I'm trying to get a number that's like not too little, to where it's like what if this thing is super popular at like the first show that I do,
Yeah.
and like I sell out, and then or like just have like a few books left, and then a week later I have another show, um, and I have like no stock, but
Right.
but it's also like, dude, you know, I know you haven't printed too much, but you will soon. But this stuff is expensive, man. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, I've got I had to pay a bill that was between four and $500,
Wow.
for my books, because after shipping, um, you know, depending on the quantity you get and everything, full color and everything. So
Right.
and like this stuff is like super expensive. So
Yeah.
you know you got to spend money to make money, right? That's what they
Yeah.
say. Um, and also aside from that is I'm trying to think of like the pricing conventions to do as well,
Mhm.
because you can hit a certain price price threshold that's you know it might be a little profitable in terms of what you paid to print that book,
Right.
but it's also, if you charge maybe just $1 or $2 more, your profit is maybe 30 to 40% more than it would be if you charged $1 less. So yeah, I've been just kind of like playing with numbers this week.
Yeah.
This week has certainly been a numbers week, and also I've been trying to think of ways to kind of start getting my lead character out there, a little bit more of that kind of recognition to the public. So uh,
Okay.
yeah, like this week on Instagram, and I'm going to start doing these too. Is like what I'm doing is um, kind of drawing like these homage panels,
Yeah.
basically like to cartoonists that I like, or like cartoon strips that I like.
Yeah.
I'm kind of getting a panel from, say, a cartoon strip and drawing my character in there, as well as like the world, but using like the same composition and kind of like the same tone of the book, or
Yeah.
the strip. So I've been doing that, and I think I've got a handful lined up just to kind of start putting out there to put my uh, character out there. At
Right.
first I was like, it'd be cool to, you know, maybe draw it in like a more popular, property or something. But you know what? I want to have fun doing it too. So I think kind of paying tribute to like those cartoon strips and stuff that, and I'm starting to find like new cartoon strips that I haven't uh, read before or
Right.
whatnot. So it's that's been kind of fun too. It's kind of and it kind of serves a dual purpose because
Yeah.
not only am I kind of getting the marketing out there, maybe a little bit more familiarity to the general public, but it's also, serving as like back matter for my actual book whenever it comes out. I can put those kind of like, extras, at the back end of the book.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of it's been a little bit of the numbers, a little bit of the marketing, my mindset this week, but
Right.
it's been good. Have you been reading anything this week that's inspiring, or anything new? Watching anything new that's kind of inspiring you?
Yeah, I've just been watching a lot of anime this season. Like a lot of good stuff is coming out now, and I've really just been staying on top of everything that's coming out. And I don't know how to describe it because I want to be reading comics to really understand more about like comics language and how they tell stories in comics. But the anime stories is like it's just pulling me in, and I want to be part of the conversation on Twitter and like be talking about it and all that. So yeah, I'm just watching a lot of good stuff. There's Hell's Paradise. There's Heavenly Delusion. There's this show called Oshi no Ko. There's what else? What else we got? Demon Slayer,
Mm.
and then another show, Vinland Saga. And so I'm just hitting all those shows up. There's another one, Konosuba. That's a whole different show. That's more like a comedy type thing. But
Mm.
only anime viewers will really know what I'm talking about. But those are the shows that I'm hitting up this season, and I'm enjoying it so far.
Yeah.
But
So is it all like new episodes right now, or are you like catching up from what's been?
it's all new episodes right now. I'm trying to stay on top of it pretty much.
Damn,
Yeah,
dude, that's a lot of shows to like keep up with. I'm assuming
yeah,
like the episodes come out weekly, huh?
yeah. They do,
Yeah.
but it's not like they'll come out in like 12 episode batches, so it'll be after 12 episodes, like week by week. Um, that'll be it for the season, unless the show is like 25 episodes or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice, dude. Yeah, that's a lot of good content, a lot of good inspiration. For me, I like went to. I don't know if you go to Half Price Books very much.
No, I used to a lot, but
I,
the one in my town got like torn down.
oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That kind of happens over here in Houston too. But it's like they tore one down, but then they rebuilt one, or not rebuilt one, but reopened one in like a better location.
Oh,
Like a few months ago, and I just realized it was there. So I went there this past weekend, and it had like because I go straight to the graphic novel section and like where the comics and stuff are to kind of see what's there, and like this graphic or this half price books was like totally my half price books because it had like all like the alternative comic stuff, a lot of Daniel Klaus and Chris Ware type stuff.
nice. Yeah.
Uh, and they had these. I don't know if you've seen the collections, but it's called like the best of American comics collection. So it's like that's
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's what it's called. It's like the best of American comics 2009, the best of American comics 2013.
It would have like RVP car and what's like an R Crumb in there.
Yeah. They have so like it's usually edited by a well-known cartoonist, and so they select, a batch of strips, a batch of short stories, excerpts from other comics,
Right.
and graphic novels. So they had these best of collections, a whole bunch, just for like super cheap, because they're usually like $30.
Uh-huh.
And I was picking these things up for like $8, and they're like real thick books with hardcover, and they just have like such a good selection of like cartoonists that I know, but cartoonists that I haven't heard of before.
Right.
Very alternative, very indie style stuff. So I picked up 3 or 4 of those, and I've just been like kind of just looking through them and reading some of the strips and kind of being introduced to stuff that that I haven't read yet. So
Nice.
super excited. It was a good trip and a good haul, but yeah, man, that's pretty much our week in comics. So this week, as far as like main, do you have anything else to say, kind of on your weekly stuff?
No, man, I'm ready to get into the topic.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So for the viewers out there, we're kind of like recording out of order and everything. So this episode is actually more of like a current event one, and we're gonna upload this pretty soon after we talk about it. So last week there was a pretty interesting um, article that came out about a new comics company called DSTLRY. Um, it's spelled very oddly. It's
It's
not
spelled
spelled.
like the store. But
Yeah,
yeah.
I didn't. I didn't know that's what it was called whenever I first um, saw it, and I was speaking with one of my other comics friends, and I was like, yeah, like that Dastardly company is pretty dope. Or it sounds interesting, like it's kind of a shake up in the industry. He was like, oh yeah, you mean distillery? I was like, oh shit, my bad.
Right.
So like that was already kind of confusing at the beginning, but anyway, so it's a new kind of comics collective company that is being started up by David Steinberg and Chip Mosher. I forget which one of the two. I think it's Steinberg is the guy who basically um, was the founder of Comixology, the
Yeah.
digital comic service provided from Amazon. But anyway, so him and Chip Mosher, they are starting this new company called DSTLRY.
Yep.
It's a comics collective thing that tries to focus 100% on the creator by different kind of market tactics, market methods. And yeah, we just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about this, kind of give our opinions on it and whatnot. Ken, so the for the viewers, the article that we're going to be referencing for the most part in this, there was a New York Times release article, and there was also an article that came out from, what was it, Comics Beat? Is that what it
Yeah.
was? That kind of goes more into detail because it's like an actual interview with the two guys, talking about exactly what this company means and what they want to bring to the industry. So Ken, what was kind of your first overall impressions about it? And kind of what are your thoughts on DSTLRY?
What are my thoughts on distillery? Well, the first thing I did when you gave me the article, it was I went straight to the comments just to see what other people were thinking about it. And I was in my mind, I was thinking, okay, this is a new type of thing in comics, and then it's being presented before there's any products out on the market from it. So it's like we get the name, we get the kind of branding from it. It's being kind of shown over and over again, so that comic creators know about it and people in comics in general know about it. Um, but then it gives me the vibe of there's this social app called Vero that came out like a few years ago, and everyone was thinking it was going to be the next Twitter or the next like huge social media app that everyone would just kind of flood to and make accounts. Everyone did. I made an account and tried to put stuff on there, and people were hoping it would catch on, but it just never did. It just kind of fizzled out. And that's what I think might be the case here. I think we're getting like we're being shown like, okay, this new opportunity that's going to be revolutionary in comics. It's going to be Image 2.0, but it's like I feel like it's going to benefit mostly the founding creators, the top creators that adapt to the platform early on, and then for everyone else, it'll just be kind of like another kind of Substack situation where it's not really where it benefits the main guys that already have a career in comics, but then everyone who's kind of new to it is not really going to do much for them. But those are my thoughts in general.
Yeah.
What are yours?
Yeah, no, I kind of share that last thing you said. I kind of share that same sentiment. But whenever I first read that New York Times article drop where it was just kind of announcing it, I was kind of ticked off.
Oh yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, because of the whole the main reason to that is because of the whole for those of you who may have not read the article or not know, but so they're doing kind of like a digital and print kind of collaboration between the two mediums. But what they're trying to do is that they're trying to bring the same collector aspect of comics to digital.
Right.
Meaning that they want to use this whole kind of rarity model where Wednesday comes around, the people who go to the website, everyone can buy that comic digitally. So they can buy it for $4, $5, whatever it is, download the file, and they have it. Thursday morning comes around, they quote unquote, and this is what they exactly said in the article, they turn off the download. Meaning suddenly that download that you just had yesterday skyrocketed in value, doubled in value, whatever the case may be, because now it is a scarce resource.
Right.
And when I initially read that, I was like, no, this is bullshit. I mean, they say it's not an NFT because the only way you can acquire this download is through their website on DSTLRY.com or whatever it is. Right. But my immediate thought was, is that now okay? So this is coming from the perspective of someone who is not a quote unquote collector of comics. I collect comics. I have tons of comics. I read comics, but I'm not in it for the aspect of, oh, let me get this thing because next week it's going to be worth $100. Me, I am the consumer that wants to go and buy something, read it, throw it on the shelf, look at it whenever I need some inspiration, love it, whatever, bend the ears on it and all that kind of stuff. Right. So that's the perspective I'm coming to with this. So when I hear this digital download rarity model, I'm like, that is totally defeating the purpose of comics, where I'm in it for the story. I'm in it to be immersed in the story. I'm in it for the art of it. What good does turning off the download do for that aspect of comics? To where it's no longer about the story, it's no longer about the art, it's about the rarity of it. And if I want to read this book, now or this download, I've got to spend $20 to download, a 32-page comic or whatever it would be.
Right.
So I'm kind of getting into my pro, the cons that I don't like of it. But another kind of, and then as I kind of read into the article, the Comics Beat article where it went to the interview, it explained a little bit more. And there were some things that I gathered from it that I do like. But I'm still kind of on the cons kick, so let me talk a little bit about the cons a little more.
Right.
And feel free to jump in on this.
Yeah.
But one of the statements in the interview that, I don't know if it was Steinberg or Mosher that said it, but they said that that we live in like this drop culture.
Oh, right, yeah.
And they want to bring this drop culture, or no, drop market culture is the exact term they said.
Right.
They want to bring this culture to comics, meaning, um, for instance, the sneaker industry. You
Right.
know, they make 30 pairs of this shoe, they drop it Wednesday, they're never going back into production. And then there's like an aftermarket sell, buy and sell trade thing that happens with these shoes.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks down the road, a new shoe drops, 30 a piece, 30 of these shoes. And it creates this whole fun collecting thing that they want to do. And that's the kind of model that they're thinking about with this digital kind of running.
Well, I wanted to weigh in on that aspect of it.
Yeah.
Because I think they the sneaker market understands its customers to where they understand that people will wait in line to get the drop on a new line of sneaker and be the first to buy it, and they can get away with making 30 40 pairs of one type of shoe and then having it circulate on the aftermarket. But with comics, I think this new company is fundamentally like missing the consumer aspect, because they're really focused on benefiting the creators and giving them like a percentage in their company and doing all that. But on the consumer side, I don't think most people consume comics like that, or I don't think they buy comics like that. I don't think you can really pressure them with a limited time release, especially on a digital sale, because let's just say there's readcomiconline.com .net .russia .whatever. You can find those comics digitally if you really tried. If you really wanted to find it, you'll find it online. And if they're selling physical copies, somebody could just scan them in and post them out online anywhere. And with these aftermarket sales of like digital copies, it's like, what's the value in that? Is it the story value? Because if I really wanted to read the story, I can find it somewhere online. Is it the art value? Like, they say it's not supposed to be a NFT, but they're using NFT rules to try to sell the comic after the initial drop that they're doing. So it's like, is that really how consumers consume comics? Like, is that the reason why they're consuming? Is that the reason why they spend money on comics? Like, I'm wondering if they're going into this understanding how consumers get their comics fix.
Yeah, and that's the exact thing I thought when I read it. I was like, okay, but comics are not sneakers, Comics are not clothes that you're dropping.
Right.
Like the same sentiment is like, what if they did this with movies? What if like it's the same thing? Like they were like, hey, we've got like this 2-hour movie that's like really good and whatever, but we're only limiting it to 100 downloads. Like what if you did that? Because it's a different industry where, it's about the experience of reading the book. It's an experience about looking at the art.
Right.
Like sneakers are a totally different thing because it's like it's a thing that you just have.
Right.
It's not a thing that you really experience. I don't think, at least, that's not what I get with shoes when I see shoes. It's more of like a trophy. It's like when you get a trophy, you put that trophy there.
Yeah.
But when you're reading a book and you're consuming a story, it's a lot more to it because there's like the creative aspect of it. There's like the feel of it, the tone of it.
Yeah.
So it's just really an interesting thing that they said by comparing comics. Now,
I,
Go ahead.
I want to say about the movie thing is like the limited aspect of movies is the time that they spend in theaters. And I think the fact that you only have a limited time to experience that movie with other moviegoers is what makes it is what compels people to go into theaters and basically buy the drop when they put it out there. Like the Avengers Endgame movie. I couldn't watch that alone. There's no way. I'm not gonna sit at home and just turn on the Avengers movie and just watch that by myself. Like being in a theater is so much of a different experience that I would pay I would pay money to go in with a friend or with whoever to have that experience with a crowd and be hyped up with them and all that stuff. It's different for comics, which is what I think you were explaining there.
Yeah, yeah. And what I'm saying is also, okay, so you take for like Avengers Endgame. It's in theaters for what? 2 months or whatever it was, because it's a very popular movie. They're not adjusting that price. It's like it's that entry price, whether you want the standard or the 3D or whatever it is. But by Distillery making it literally like a very short amount of time, and they're manually kind of adjusting that market, like
Right.
that simply just by saying, oh, guess what, we're turning it off. you know it's
Yeah.
it's almost, it's like a manual manipulation on like the human psychology, and
Yeah.
it's like making scarcity out of nothing. It's like, you know if somebody had all the world's supply of water and was like, everybody, you can drink for the next week, water for the next week, and then like people
Oh
drink
boy.
water for the next week, and then they turn the valve off, and
Oh
they're
man.
like, guess what, we've got a scarce resource now, find your water in the aftermarket, you know
Right.
and like I know that's a very extreme case because this is comics, but
Right.
it's a similar thing to where you know they're making this almost like false scarcity, which I understand, because when they make the false scarcity for the digital download, maybe that brings up the demand for their physical print, and maybe that increases the value of their physical print. It increases the sales when they do come out with a physical print or something.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. So that was just some. It's a very thing. It's a thing that I don't like, but it's because I'm coming from the perspective of like, look, I want to read the book. I'm in it to read this book. You know, I'm not in it to hoard these digital files and like profit off of them.
Right.
But now comes to some of the pros that I do see of this company, and that is, look, there's two types of consumers at the end of the day, right? There's the reader consumer, like you and I can, and then
Right.
there's the collector, the guy that's going out there and looking for first appearance of Punchline, even though it's like half of her chin in like whatever Batman or whatever it was, um, and wants to buy that for 150 bucks.
Right.
That market is always going to be there. So why not understand how to engage with that market? And that's what they're trying to do with the company. Um, I hate the fact that they use the term turn off sales, but I understand what they're trying to do, and how they're trying to make money and how they're trying to survive as a comics company. Um, and one of the things that I really do like is that on every sale, whether it's the initial sale or the aftermarket sale, being that, say Ken buys the file, it's no longer downloadable from the company, but you can download it or you can sell it in the aftermarket. The creator makes a cut of that aftermarket sale too.
Right.
So therefore, you're always benefiting the creator, whether it's an initial sale or it's an aftermarket sale. I do like that, you
Right.
know. Um, I do think that's a good thing because, in the physical, the physical comic world, when you buy a physical comic and it becomes scarce, it's a valuable resource, and you go and sell that book to another consumer, that the original creator is not getting any cut of that.
Right.
So I do like that aspect of it.
Yeah.
Um,
Like all the half price book sales, I read online one time, it was like the creators aren't making any of that.
yeah.
And
Hmm.
they're like, plastered all over half price books. They're all over the place, but the creators aren't seeing any return from those sales.
It's very true. But the other side of that, and I'll give you like a example just from my perspective. I was in a half price books a long time ago. I saw my first, I saw Jim Mahfoud's work for the first time there. I was like, dude, this guy is awesome. How do I not know about this guy? So I picked up his book for 9.99 or whatever it was there. Loved it. Loved his work. Bought, got on his weekly books whenever they came in the comic shops. I met him at Emerald City Comic Con for the first time. Bought some books there. Got him to sign some stuff, whatever. So, in a way, yes, you don't get that cut, but also, like for instance, like half price books. Granted, you have to be someone like me, or you can to like appreciate the book and
Right.
have books enough to like, oh, I love this guy. I'm gonna go buy his work. So like there is that aspect of like it's almost like a free advertisement for some
Yeah.
creators because that book is just showing up there. Suddenly, he's like one of my top 10 creators now. So
Right.
like whenever he comes out with a new book at the comic shops, I'm subbing to his book and I'm putting that in my box.
Right.
Um, but regardless of the fact, like I do think that you get a cut of every sale, within the distillery aftermarket place. Goes back to the creator is super cool.
Right.
Um, Another good thing is that they do say in the interview that um, the collected print of these books, you come out with issue 1 through 6, whatever, it comes in trade. The trade and the collected version will be widely available. You know, not at like a scalper price or anything, but you'll be able to order the book, at cover price, digitally and physically
Right.
whenever that collected version comes out. So I do think so. They do kind of counteract that, you know, the um, the rarity market a little bit there. I still don't love it, but I do appreciate the fact that if you want to read the story, you'll eventually be able to read the story. And it seems like you won't have to pay crazy amounts of money to, double, triple the price to get that digital file.
Right.
So that's another good thing.
So I was thinking they had like really good uh quality founders in terms of like the artists and creators that's working for them right now. Like they have decent like writers and artists. But I'm wondering like we don't know the quality of the stories that they're gonna be telling or the quality of story that's gonna come out from there. So it's like it's kind of up in the air like whether these books will be even worth buying for the story.
Yeah.
Uh, because they're betting so heavily on the collectors market to buy and resell these books and whatnot. But are they going to be quality enough? Like we'll have to see through the first like reviews of the stories that come out there because like the writers that they got, this might be just they might be throwing out their like B material for the first like book that they're doing. They're just like, oh yeah, this is an idea I've been kicking around for a few years. Let me throw this out there and put it on this platform. Let me like extract as much as I can while the getting is good, and then when this like crashes and burns, like let's just like bounce, like.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying that it will 100% crash and burn, but one of the first comments that I read underneath the Beat article was somebody said, "Oh, they're trying to pull a Quibi or a Quibi or something like that." It was a streaming platform that came out like just before COVID, and it lasted from I think April 2020 to November 2020. Like it died in the same year that it was created, and it was. I read an article like just going deeper into it, like about the reasons why it failed, and it failed primarily because it didn't understand the way that consumers were already consuming content, because they were trying to make it so that you had, I guess, content on the go, short form content on the go, and we already had like YouTube for that, we already had TikTok for that, and they were trying to make you pay for the same things that you would get for free off of YouTube and TikTok. So that was one of the failures, and then another reason why it failed was that, well, the pandemic. That was one of the reasons, but it was just a failure to understand consumers' viewing habits with streaming services. And not only that, it was like they didn't have good marketing or good distribution. Um, it was just a mismatch, and a lot of the comments that I read underneath the article were mostly negative, and I'm wondering like what is their goal, and do they do the creators see this panning out for the long term, or are they planning to fail and trying to make as much money as they can from it in the short term, um, and then get out while the getting is good? Does that make what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, for sure. I do think that the stake in the company is could be a driving force for them to like want to stay in it, for them to put good quality work out. Because from what I gathered from the article, so there's like the founding fathers of distillery creators, which like Scott Snyder, I think Tinian was on there, Ram V, I forget who else, Elsa Chartier I think was there.
Yeah.
So they own they own a more significant portion of the stake, but then the next creators, whoever comes in now, they're all part of a 3% profit pool. So, say they call up Ken, say, "Hey Ken, we need you to write and draw the dopest story for Distillery." So, and you come on, and you automatically, when you sign that contract, you get to be part of that 3% pool. So what I like about that model, and I think is interesting for the creator, is like, say Ken has the next Walking Dead, right? And it's a mega hit, huge book, you get merch deals, you get whatever from it. That in turn not only profits you, but it profits every single other person that's writing for that, or writing and drawing and creating for that thing. So I do think I would think that that's a good enough motive for these guys and girls to put, their best foot forward, because they get a good stake in the company. In turn, they're helping everybody else in that pool. So I do think that's an interesting way to go about this. Now, who's to say that their books don't do well, and people think, like you said, it's like another Substack grant type of deal, or it's another online bust type of thing. Then they're going to get lackadaisical and be like, look, this isn't worth the time. You got to go through other routes. I think it's interesting because they have such big names on there. And you think like these names could pretty much be self-sustaining at this point, which I think like James Tinian is. I think James Tinian part of that founding father?
Yeah.
Because I know like guys like him, they can run Kickstarters and stuff and be just fine, you
Yeah.
know.
Fine.
But I guess this might just be like another avenue for their income.
Right.
But I do think that that 3% pool is interesting. Now, this goes back to the very thing that you said at the jump of the conversation, is how selective and how cliquey is this group of creators going to be? Especially if whoever gets signed on owns a portion of this company, whether it's a bigger portion than the 3% pool, or it's, you know, or you're in that 3% pool. Um, are they going to like break out of their like comfort zone? Um, in terms of content, they were saying it's all going to be genre based, you know, sci-fi, fantasy, whatever.
Uh-huh.
And you know, they initially said that we weren't going to do superhero stories until somebody came with a good superhero story pitch and they signed on with it.
Right.
You know, which is interesting. So it's already almost seeming like there's little machinations that are like, oh, very, very, very choosy. Um, so that's another kind of question that I have is like, you know, in the article, the interviewer said, um, oh, so is this the Image comics of the 21st century? Um, is it truly that, or is it really just like these few guys that are going to kind of stay in their niche to try to support each other and benefit each other? Or are they actually going to evolve into an Image thing where they're getting guys like me, you, other indie people, whatever, to come in and profit this company? I don't know.
I wouldn't call it an Image 2.0. Um, that what Image did was too badass. It was it was it was a different thing entirely. So it's like Image is already Image. This is something else. And from my perspective, it seems like a quick like cash grab. Um, because it's being heavily marketed before there's any like valuable IPs out there.
Yeah, I think they
And then,
said that. Then they said that they were going to put out their first like anthology comic at this year's San Diego Comic Con. That's what I.
right. And yeah, for something to like really pop off takes like a decade or more. Like Invincible is coming out now, and people are like, "Oh wow, Invincible is great and awesome," and that took 14 years to actually get an animation made out of it. There's another little web comic called Lackadaisy Cats by Tracy Butler, and that one recently got a animation created to I guess either promote the comic or just it was a pilot episode for the comic, and that comic's been in creation or in production for more than a decade, like 15 years. I've been like seeing stuff about it for as long as I can remember, as long as I've been drawing, and all the comics that pop off now, like The Boys, started a long time ago. So for an IP to even gather in momentum and value, it takes like a decade. So none of this stuff that's coming out right now or like at the start of Distillery is gonna be an instant hit. Um, and I don't think they're banking on that. I think they're banking on whatever is going to make them the most money the quickest. They're banking on the names that they have lined up for like the founders. And I don't know if anyone's gonna stick around long enough for any of their IPs to really become like a smash hit. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
Image will have those smash hits. If you got Mark Millar on there, like okay, now you have some firepower in there. Like you'll have some like some heat to bring to the table. But Mark Millar, he's got his own thing going on. He's got his Miller World. He's got Netflix deals, but that took time to like build up. And I think at the end of the day, on the creator side, um, I think just basic business like basic comics business practices win out over like quick short term opportunities. Like if you just write good stories, create good comics, sell them to your customers, develop a fan base, and just repeat that year in, year out, year in, year out, and get better and better over time, people will follow you to wherever you're going. And that's what they have with this founder situation. These guys, they've built their audience over time, over decades, and now they're following over. They're borrowing their fan base. They're borrowing their people that they've gathered over over years. Nobody gives a fuck about distillery as itself. They care about the creators that they're bringing over to the platform.
Right.
So if everything's kind of resting on these founders to make it succeed, and if they can't make it succeed, then it'll just it'll just fold in a year or so. But if they're really bringing like great stories, their audience wants to follow them for more than a decade for their property to really explode, or they're trying to get some like recognition in Hollywood or something, then maybe they got something going for the long term. But as of right now, I don't really see it going much further than a year or two. I mean, that's just my
Yeah. No, I mean certainly it's a valid concern, man. I think it's just interesting that like these, like you said, like these big name creators, right? Like Scott Snyder, Tinian, uh, Ramvi, I forget who else is on there, Elsa Chartier. Like they built their career on like printed comics, you know,
right.
on like the standard model of do good books, sell good books,
Yep.
you know, and now they're kind of like shifting into this like gimmicky thing, more or less. It's there's some portions of it is pretty gimmicky.
Mm-hmm.
That isn't focusing on selling that book. Like they're focusing on manipulating the market
Right.
to increase value.
Yeah.
Which it's a little disheartening because it's like, look, these guys, built their careers on making good stuff, and that's what sold, and that's what got them to like the level that they are now. And the other portion of that is like, dude, there are just so many outlets of media now. Like there's the Substack, there's this, there's Webtoons, now there's Distillery, now there's this. There's so many avenues
Yeah.
of where you can get books and purchase books, digital, whatever it is, watch movies, this and all that. And it's like now you're throwing another thing in the fire that
Right.
we've all got to pay attention to. Whereas like if these guys were just focusing on like the model of making the book,
Right.
that's essentially that's the key to success. So it's certainly it's definitely worrisome about the longevity of Distillery, um, because you don't know how well people are going to be attracted to this new platform. Also, will the content that they're creating justify that platform?
Right.
Especially him saying like it's a focus on genre content. Dude, there's so many things focused on genre content.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we weren't gonna do superhero stories. Actually, we're gonna do superhero stories. Dude, there's so many superhero stories aside from DC and Marvel, Dark Horse, everything. Everything. There's so many superhero stories out there. It's like, okay, even if it's like the best superhero story in the world, there's still other good superhero stories out there. You
Yep.
know, I don't know. It's just a very interesting perspective on this. Making getting the same collector fun into digital, as there is in print, and I guess that's one of their sole missions in this, because I guess
Right.
they feel that the industry needs to go digital.
Yeah.
But dude, is manga digital for the most part? Everybody loves manga, and I see so many kids at Target, at freaking Target,
Yeah.
looking at a shelf of manga, picking this up for $8, picking this up for $10, you know.
Because one, it's accessible. If they're in Target, it's right there, it's ready to buy, and two, they're getting so much more material for so much less dollars.
Yeah.
They're getting 100 pages of material for $8 versus a comic, which isn't even in mainstream purview, like where people can really see it. And then you have to go all the way to a store if there is one in your town, and then buy a 22-page pamphlet for $5. And I think that's the baseline price is now $5 for content that may or may not be as good as their manga counterpart. So
right.
Yeah. I was gonna mention there's this other thing that Mark Waid started at some point. It was called Thrill Bent. And
what is it again?
It was called Thrill Bent.
Thrill Bent. Okay, I haven't heard of this.
I'm gonna have to re-look that up. But I remember it being another kind of I don't want to call it gimmicky, but I don't really remember exactly what it was about. I just remember that it was kind of like I really need to look it up again. But Thrill Bent had that kind of gimmicky thing where I guess it was kind of like augmented reality comics or something like that, or like you could click on the comic and then certain aspects would pop out, or that. I forget what it was really about, but the main point that I'm trying to say is that comics doesn't really need gimmicks to survive. Like right. I feel as a medium itself, it all it needs is like solid stories. Watchmen, The Dark Knight Returns, like just solid stories, well told, and you're good. You don't need all this other extra stuff to try to jump the market and you know.
Yeah. No,
make money.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's what I was kind of saying. Like, so I read the book November by Matt Fraction and Elsa Chartier. Incredible book, great, wonderfully illustrated. I'm an instant fan, because it was an awesome book, and now I want to go buy more books whenever Elsa puts something else out or Matt Fraction puts something else out. It's like that's simple. That's the simple sell right there.
Right.
Am I at any regard? Am I motivated to go and like buy this limited time digital file that I can get in a week? No, I'm not at all. Am I motivated by the fact that Elsa Chartier may be at Heroes Con this year? She's selling her books, her prints, or whatever. Am I motivated to go to her and be like, "Hey, I want to buy your stuff because I like your stuff"? Yes, like that's the motivation for me behind it. But as we say again, the collector's market. So I know I'm coming from a totally different perspective on that. So yeah, it's a really interesting topic, man.
Yeah. I think they're really trying to benefit creators with this, but it might be like a short-term solution to like a long-term problem. I did sign up for it though. I signed up. I put my email in for the email list just to see what happens when it drops.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually interested to see how it plays out and what's going to happen with it. But yeah, did you have any words on?
No, I think that's it, man. We may revisit this at some point when it actually drops and like give you guys our opinions on it, or maybe if something else makes a wave in terms of this style of company or anything like that. We'll definitely talk more about it. I thought this was a really good discussion, man.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, we're kind of recording a little out of order, right? Because sometimes like current event, like we've got a queue of a handful of episodes, but we thought this one was a super cool topic. So if you're hearing this one in the present and another one in the future, but it's all kind of mixed up, that's the reason why. And you know, when current event type stuff or something we need to talk about that week kind of drops, I think it's definitely a good idea for kind of jump on here and talk to you guys about it, kind of get a good conversation. We'd love to hear your thoughts on Distillery, all the viewers out there. Put your comments down below. Let us know what you think. Do you think it's a actual really good model that can stand the test of time? Or do you think that this model is a little manipulative in terms of the comics industry? We've got our thoughts, you've got your thoughts, so let's talk about them. But thanks for tuning in this week. Actually, one more thing I wanted to mention, since
All right.
this episode is going to drop a little sooner. So I'm going to be at some conventions coming up very soon this year. So May 26th through May 28th, that is it Labor Day weekend or is that Memorial weekend?
I
I
don't
think
even know.
yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Labor Day. No, it's Memorial. I don't know. It's one of the two cool 3-day weekends um, that we have coming up. I'll be at Comic Palooza May 26th through 28th. That's in Houston, Texas. So for any of you out there that are in the area, or if you live in Houston, come out. I'll be in Artist Alley selling my new book that I've been talking about for a while here on the show. You know, other cool merch and stuff like that. Come and get a sketch or something. So I'll be there, and then soon, right after that, a couple weeks, I'll be at the big one of the year that I'm super excited about because it's the first time that I am going to this show and the first time that I'm tabling at this show in Artist Alley. But that's Heroes Con in North Carolina, in Charlotte, North Carolina. That is from June 16th to June 18th. Um, Super excited about that one. So I know a lot of comics viewers out or comics readers and comics enthusiasts will be out there. So come swing by my table and let's have a chat. I'll show you some of the cool stuff that I've been working on. I've got a few more, but then later on in the year, in August, from August 19th to August 20th, I'll be back in the Texas area and Eastern Rim Con in Baytown, Texas. Super cool comics oriented show. Not a huge pop culture thing, which is great. They focus on all the comics, and I will be there as well. And maybe Ken might be there. We shall see. Yeah, so there's just a few that I have coming up. I wanted to kind of tell you guys if you guys wanted to come and hang out for a bit. But Ken, you got any final words? Anything else? If not, or blast your social media out there to the good people.
Yeah. Yeah, I got nothing else. Just check me out on Twitter. I post there every day. And I think I'll start my YouTube channel up pretty soon again. I'm going to get a microphone soon, so look out for that. And yeah, check out my comic Air Rider, High School Hero on Global Comics. Everything will be in the description below. Just check out the links.
Awesome, and we'll make sure to put the Comics Beat article in the comments too, so you can kind of see what we were talking about, the interview we were talking about. We can put that in there too. You can find me on Instagram for the most part. I post a whole bunch on there, whole bunch of cool process stuff, sketches, all that cool stuff for my new book coming out. That's at Nico_writes. I am also at that same handle on Twitter. You can also follow me on my Substack at nicorodriguez.substack.com. I post creative stuff there, process things a little bit more in depth on my comics creation. So follow me at any of those on there. Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode. This was a great conversation. Let us know what you think down in the comments, and we will talk to you next week.